We're going to get to this point where no one writes code anymore at the end of the year. I think things will be task-driven, multi-agents running in parallel, and you not writing any code.
We just saw the rise of Claude. How many people said like, oh, it's only $600 for one Mac Studio and you just got your own employee.
I think it's bullshit. You can't just like start a loop and go to the bar, come back after a night out, and everything's magically done. That never happened. We can do more in a day, but I'm still sitting at the computer. I'm still doing work. My mind is still activated. We got to YC and no one used Mastra. So our whole plan was backfiring from the beginning. Because in our YC batch 2025, everyone was still on the Python bandwagon. Many people can write TypeScript. So that's where I think the popularity came from. But then I think it's a whole other community now. Like Python community versus the web TypeScript communities are just completely different. Most people are only in one.
How do you make an open source company profitable?
We believe
Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Hendrik. You're listening to the third episode of The Merge, the podcast brought to you live from the CodeRabbit office here in San Francisco. And today I'm super excited because I'm going to be joined by Abhi Aiyer, the co-founder and CTO of Mastra, one of the most popular TypeScript agent frameworks there is. So welcome, Abhi.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining in.
Cool studio.
It's not bad,
the
right?
The view's not bad either. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think we did okay.
Yeah.
Great to have you here. I think, obviously, a lot of people in the Bay Area know a lot about you, not only because your framework is great, but also you've been writing your team has been writing some great books, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah.
But maybe for those of the listeners who haven't been in touch with Mastra or with yourself yet, can you explain a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Abhi Aiyer, originally from Los Angeles, California. Been doing startups ever since I graduated college. I was early in open source as well. I worked on Meteor.js. I was in the GraphQL community. I worked at a company called Gatsby.js, and that was a big part of my life. We didn't really end up doing what we wanted to do, but I had met my co-founders, Sam and Shane, at Gatsby, and we were planning to start a company together, but we didn't necessarily know what or how or anything. And somehow we kind of stumbled into these things. It's so weird. Like you never know how things kind of come about until you look back and it's like, wow, we were toiling in pivot hell. And then eventually we kind of found that TypeScript and AI go together. And that's kind of where Mastra began. So we founded Mastra. Mastra is the TypeScript agent framework. It helps people get into production. You can build agents, workflows, tools, evals, everything you want in AI engineering. We're trying to bring it to market. We were in Y Combinator in winter 25, and it's been wild ever since, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cannot believe it, actually.
Yeah, I think you just crossed, 1 million downloads a month?
Oh, yeah. I think after today, it'll be 1.2 or something. So it's just wild. This time last year, we had 600 downloads a week. And now it's this week will be 370 or something.
Wow.
So, wild.
That's awesome. Congrats on all this success. I think the first thing that came to mind when I was thinking about what could I ask you that would be interesting is most people associate agent frameworks with LangChain. So why Mastra? Why TypeScript?
Well, this actually kind of goes back to the origin of all of this. Sam and Shane and I, we were building, our last idea before Mastra was to build a CRM. And we thought that, Sam, at Gatsby, Sam was doing a lot of sales ops for the company, and it was just obviously Salesforce is not the best experience. And Salesforce often gets introduced to companies because a VP of sales or whoever has a playbook that they've been running their whole career, right? And so at that time we were thinking okay, how do we get VPs of sales to change their playbook? And we are not salesmen ourselves. So we're just, oh yeah, we could convince them, sure.
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
And so we built the CRM. And we were intending to build AI features that, if there's so many AI CRMs now, we had all those ideas for those features. We just had no idea to build them. And we had no idea how to use AI. And at that point, you could use LangChain but LangChain both had a Python version was very popular, but the JavaScript version was very trash, and it still is. And it was just so hard to use, and it didn't feel ergonomic to someone who is a TypeScript developer for many years. But we figured LangChain exists, so we're not going to do that. Like, who cares, right? They must have some hold on the market. So then we did like a little hackathon, and we tried using LangChain Python, and even that was a trouble to use. And so we figured like, okay, the tooling here is not good. We're at this inflection point that people are trying to build an AI. They don't know what they're doing yet, but they're trying. And there's no tooling in the specific thing that we do well, which is TypeScript. And it felt at the time too, it felt like LangChain and Llama Index and many of the frameworks of the time were just like using code gen with not good code gen models, right? GPT 3.5, hey, please rewrite all this Python code in JavaScript. And so that's kind of how it felt. It was like a Pythonic JS thing, and it's just super weird. So we started building, and we never thought that we'd catch up or do anything. But people started resonating with it. They loved the story that we used to do a JavaScript framework before. And it just was also lucky that Mastra was actually turned out to be like good, you know?
Yeah. Tell me a bit more about that trajectory, like from Y Combinator all the way to the growth. And then, I mean, you have some amazing product or go-to-market strategies like this book, which I think people should know about as well, because you're just, let's put it like that. If you've been to any hackathon in the Bay Area in the last year, the chances are that you have one of those books standing at home and there.
You may have seen me giving them out too. So the trajectory is such an interesting topic. So like when we got the idea, we built the V-1 of Mastra, which looked a lot like N8N. Just to be frank, because we were thinking like AI agents should be in the hands of product managers and engineers, but like, you know, people don't want to write code. Like, you know, code is old at the time. And so we built this version of Mastra, which does not look like anything it is today, but we built it and we went to NextConf 2024. And there were a bunch of people that we knew there, Jared Palmer, some other homies. And we started just shopping like, hey, what do you think about this Mastra thing? What do you think? What do you think? Actually, at the time, I don't even think it was called Mastra too. I forget what it was called, but it was just something. And we probably talked to 20 of our either people that we knew, people we respected. Every single person, the only piece of feedback they gave was, that's cool. And I was like, damn. And, you know, in my career, anytime that someone doesn't want to give you true feedback, means they don't care, you know? And they don't care about your idea, and it's probably bad. Because if they really did care, they would say, hey, this could be better, or hey, dude, you should stop doing this. It'll never work. If they tell you that's cool, they don't care, you know? And so we felt very demoralized after that weekend. Plus, we were at NextConf. Like, they whooped our ass in the last battle against Gatsby versus Next. So not only getting shit on at the conf, but also at the conf, you're like, this could have been our life, you know? Like, all this, like, negative emotion, right? So we go to this place in SF called the Crafty Fox Ale House. You all should go. Best fries in the city. And we probably had 3 orders of fries and a bunch of beer. We're just getting drunk and all sad and stuff. And we kind of looked at each other and we're like, dude, what if people just like code? Like maybe people like code again or like whatever. So we rewrote the whole library that weekend from scratch. Just all the same concepts, but code first. Released it. And then that was like our first 1,000 GitHub stars like in a day.
Wow.
And we thought, okay, this is going to be viral. It's going to go everywhere. And then the next day, like, traffic just dropped down, right? Because it just wasn't complete. It was a good idea, but there's no substance there. So we started working on it. At the same time, we were looking to raise a seed round to try to, like, have some runway to do it. And then we figured, like, maybe we can apply to YC because this is the right product and the right time for us because we still have a product to build. And we need a lot of fellow testers. Plus, we've been doing this startup stuff for a while, so we'd also be very helpful to other YC people so they can use our product and we can help them with running a business or whatever. And we got to YC and no one used Mastra. So like our whole plan was backfiring from the beginning. Because in our YC batch 2025, everyone was still on the Python bandwagon. So most companies that get into YC already have a product, right? So they'd already started building and it was all in Python. And then we hit this like weird midterm of YC where the people who start, their ideas, they don't work out. They have to pivot. And at the time, we were actually gaining like movement. We were like, the product was being built out. We could prove that you can get to zero to start real quickly. We demoing it. We were putting videos online. So then a lot of founders who were pivoting came directly to us and said, hey,
let's use this.
Let's use this because we need to make up we got to hit this demo day. We need to make up all this lost time. And then that's kind of how we got some first users. And then we kind of figured out with people that we gave it to, they like it. It's making sense. They're building stuff. So then we essentially prepared our like Show HN Hacker News launch. And then that kind of just started the whole trajectory because then people discovered it. So it was like about maybe like 2 months into 2025 where we figured it out, you know. And then from there, it's been like constantly battling to figure out more stuff.
Yeah, wild. I mean, there's only 3 people on your team, you and your 2 co-founders.
Yeah, at the time, yeah. Since then, we've hired and stuff. But yeah, YC was really interesting. The book stuff came from YC, like incepted in YC as well. Because we have a friend, Pete Kazanji. He's the author of a book called Founder-Led Sales or Founding Sales. And I think we did him a favor one day. He like dropped off like 4 boxes of books. And he was like, hey, can you give these out to YC founders at the dinner or wherever? And Sam said yes. And I didn't say yes, but Sam said yes. And I was like, I guess we're giving out books. And we were just giving out like these sales books and everyone wanted one because not many people know how to do sales if you're in YC yet.
Yeah.
So everyone took the book and then we kind of had this idea, oh, wow, like, well, people don't know how to do agents yet. So maybe they'd take a book about that because it's such a hot topic. If sales is a hot topic to these YC people, then AI is going to be a hot topic in SF. So we printed the first copies of those and then we just started giving them out. And we were right. People wanted to read and have like a token of what AI is in 2025.
Yeah, and I think this book, I mean, yeah, Sam just did a great job in explaining the concepts. I think that it really reads very, very smoothly, and you can dive in at any part of your experience level. You can get it and understand it, and then the length is kind of comfortable too, so you don't.
Yeah, we. The funny thing is about the book size. Yeah. We modeled it after a children's book, like a very small children's book, with the aim that it will fit in the back of your pocket. And that was like our first thing, and it kind of did that. But then the content of AI has grown. So we have like a second edition now, and it's a little bit bigger, 50 pages more. And, you know, it's going to constantly get bigger. We're writing a third edition because new things have come out since then.
Yeah.
So it's kind of ever evolving so fast, too. Like the second edition came out like 2 months after the first edition, which doesn't happen and is probably not the best financially, but like we're going to keep printing them, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I actually read it to my girlfriend, interestingly enough, because she wanted to learn, and I thought like, okay, some of these passages are really good, so check it out. I think on that tangent, I think that comparison between Python and TypeScript was cool because I think you famously said on our other panel the other day, you know, Python trains, TypeScript chips.
Yeah.
So how did you see that change over the time? And I mean, obviously there's an adoption rate in there that tells a story.
When we started, when we started getting traction, a lot of web devs from the web dev ecosystems who maybe didn't bother to look into AI yet because it wasn't in their purview, they started leaning in. They're like, oh, I can do this now. I can hook this up to a React application. Oh, it's just an API? Okay. Oh, workflows? I've been doing workflows my whole life. You know, GitHub workflows. Like, oh, agents are just a loop? Okay. And then tools are just functions? Okay. And then it's all these primitives that have already existed, but they just, people gave them different names or whatever.
And then people got scared. Is that what you think?
Yeah, I think people get scared of concepts that they don't understand. Most smart people fear things that they don't understand, right? Because you're smart. And a lot of engineers are smart, right? But then they're like, what's RAG? Like, oh, it's a daunting thing what RAG is, you know? Or what RAG was, you know?
Yeah, true. The hype has kind of settled a little bit, yeah.
And when we were in YC starting, like RAG was like this big hype, right? And then during YC, RAG is dead came out, and like so now like the news cycle is moving so fast where you've just finished learning a primitive, and now the primitive is dead, and it's like, oh, okay, I guess I invested the wrong time. I'm like studying the wrong way, and then like it's just evolution. So then web devs started getting more comfortable when we kind of like started making stable primitives. Like this is an agent, this is a tool. and this is a workflow, this is memory, this is evals, and like what the shape is going to be. And then the concept may change, but at least the shape is the same.
I think you didn't quite touch it on the shift from Python to TypeScript. So like, what's the advantage? Would you say it's just exposing more to the community of TypeScript devs, or?
We have a very strong opinion about this, but most product taste and product builds are coming from web devs, right? I mean, think about the last 10 years of products. Any UX that has been great, Airbnb, for example, on the front end, like there's these builders who have taste and like they're tastemakers and they're product builders. A lot of them know JavaScript as their only language, first language, a language, and many people can write TypeScript. And so that's where I think the popularity came from, that now there are all these other builders in the same community that are now building that. But then I think it's a whole other community now. Like Python community versus the web and TypeScript communities are just completely different. And they're kind of coming together, let's say, but most people are only in one or in the other. Now in the market, you see a lot of TypeScript agents. You see agents writing a lot of TypeScript. GitHub, TypeScript is the most popular language. And I don't think Mastra was the reason for that. It's because I think that it's because everyone started discovering that AI can be done, and a lot of builders are on GitHub and doing that. And so all these things come together.
What would you say is an advantage over using Mastra versus, like, for example, a Python-based framework like LangChain?
I think for us in Mastra, we leverage the TypeScript community. So both in open source, we use several open source libraries that are very popular. Hono for our server. We have underlying AI SDK to power things. We built our own MCP abstraction, but now MCP, like the Node.js version, is great. And then the list goes on of like little libraries that you can push together. And NPM, for better or for worse, is a beautiful way to distribute packages. People think it's very popular. You can track stats on them, etc. And Python just became less like configurable that way. I'm not saying you can't do that, of course, but it's just become so much easier if everyone's publishing modules. Yeah. And I can just npm install and then integrate it into my app and just keep going.
And you're also bringing some innovation to that, right? You're telling me the other day, like now for your agents to find documentation, you're not putting that onto a website anymore for context 7 to grab that. You're actually putting it into the package.
Correct. And like AI discovery of tools is becoming really big. Like right now, it feels where like if you're on the hot path of your editor or you're talking to Claude in the Claude app or ChatGPT, it's recommending products for you or tools to use that you may have never known. Like I never knew about Railway. It's very popular. Just raised $100 million, you know?
Rightfully so, yeah. I use it every day.
And now I use it every day because Claude told me to one day, you know? It's that power of that.
Yeah.
And if the agents are grepping file systems, then you might as well put your stuff where they are looking, which is why we moved like documentation into the modules. We are trying to make sure that agents can write Mastra as an expert.
Yeah, that's a difficult technical challenge, though, right? Because I mean, I just had Harrington Darkholm on the last episode, and if you remember in his talk, right, he was telling about how difficult it is to make sure that LLMs also call your tools if they're not as popular and probably not in their post-training data.
Correct.
Yeah. Correct. So how do you optimize for that?
In the beginning, we thought like, oh, we're screwed because like Claude is never mentioning Mastra, and then all of a sudden. Just one day it started, and I guess it's because more people were asking about it or looking up for TypeScript AI, and so SEO became still very important in like having the keywords. But then what we started doing was two different things. Obviously everyone did LLMs.txt, of course, and then you did like markdown pages, so you can always look at the things that. We started one innovation I think we had before. I mean, Context 7 I think was the first, let's say. But we made, or maybe we were first, I don't actually know. We made an MCP doc server. That was like our first thing in MCP because we wanted people to install the doc server into Cursor. At the time was like Cursor Windsurf Battle. And we just say, hey, you don't have to read docs. Just talk to the agent in your own editor. It'll teach you how to write it. And then to take it a step further, we were like, man, I don't want to do an Egghead course or a YouTube course. why don't we make an MCP course where you can just learn about Mastra through multiple chapters, but it's all within your editor and all within MCP.
Marketing geniuses all the way. Yeah, we should take notes.
That went viral on Hacker News, of course, and a lot of people took the course. Thousands of people have taken it, and it's all in open source, and people can add to the script and everything. So since then, MCP courses have taken off. There's a lot of people building companies around MCP courses, not just in technical stuff, but to teach science and math and everything, which is very interesting. Because at the time, MCP was only in editors and stuff, but now you can use it in ChatGPT, you can use it in Claude. And so now, like, let's say normal people can now use the same technology.
Taking that tangent, actually, you're talking about open source. It's all in open source, right? But how do you make a open source company profitable? Because you come to like 1 million. I mean, having 1 million, users is great, or like a monthly downloads even. But how do you monetize on that?
Yeah, commercial open source has a playbook for sure now, and it's really hard to execute. That's why there's not many success stories, right? We believe open source is a winner take all type of place. So maybe you'll have one, like a number one and a number two, but everyone else is kind of irrelevant, right? And what the number ones and number twos in any kind of product category do is they have a solid community, solid open source project, solid traction of, let's call it open source market fit. And, the people who work on it are like product market fit of like the people who work on these projects. So having the number one framework is super important. Then to make money, like usually when open source goes like maybe mediocrely, you focus just on like client services and support and stuff. And many companies do because it's a good way to get revenue. Even us, we did like support contracts and things like that.
Because you have some pretty prominent clients as well. People using it.
Because once you have traction, right, logos start coming to you and say, hey, we want to use your product. And
what are some of the prominent logos?
I think my favorite ones are Iterable. And they're down the street from here. Replit, of course, Indeed, Car Gurus. Like the list goes on of people who discover you and use you, and now they're like in a deep relationship with you. But what you're really trying to do for open source is to build a flywheel, which is a platform that connects your framework to some value. So for Mastra, we are an agent framework, but to operate an agent and scale an agent is where we want to make our money. And that could be many products to do so. That comes from observability or, code generation, like AI builders. Like there's so many things we could do. We're trying to figure out by talking to customers. That's why having those logos allows you to talk to customers and figure out what's like an enterprise need. And a lot of open source companies, like Vercel did a really good job of going self-serve, bottoms up, making moves, from that way and having a great framework and platform. And they focus on both a great framework and a great platform. When we were at Gatsby, we focused on the framework, and we figured out the platform. Too late, right? And then at the time, like Netlify had the platform. So these are like all these players back in the day. Now it's like you have to have both from the beginning because you're just gonna get, you're just gonna disappear.
No, that's fair. I mean, touching actually on that story, it interests me a little bit. What was your motivation? I mean, so you got acquired by Netlify, right?
Yes.
And then you basically had, I guess a stable engineering job you could have ahead of yourself. So where did that burn come from to start again and break out?
I think it was Sam and Shane kind of like egging me on a little bit. When I was at Gatsby, and I told Matt B this all the time, and people at Netlify know, when I was at Gatsby, beating Netlify was my number one life's goal, And honestly, maybe it was kind of stupid because I should have been looking out for the other players in the scene that were actually the sharks in the market. But I just wanted to destroy Netlify. Like it was just like my thing. Like because they were they were trying to host Gatsby sites, and so were we, And I made it. And then when we got acquired by them, I was like, this is ironic. This is like the most ironic thing ever. And at first I was like, oh, I'm going to hate it here. And they probably hate me, And honestly, Netlify is full of wonderful people. I was welcomed in very well. The product we were building at the end of Gatsby got acquired. It was called Netlify Connect at the end, which was to bridge like CMS data into a general purpose thing, not just Gatsby. And then there I met a bunch of people, and I started realizing that this is not my company. This is a bigger company too. It's like way bigger company than us. I didn't feel the same ownership working there. And I figured, okay, I think I want to do my own thing. So I did. We just did it. I remember quitting LFI and I was just like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen next.
Some exciting stuff for sure, yeah. Pivoting back a little bit to Mastra and to open source, because we really like to tell the story of open source here. Mm-hmm. Have you contributed much to open source before? And what was the first steps that you did, and how does it feel now being a maintainer of open source, so to say?
Yeah, so when I first got out of college, contributing to open source was super scary. There was no contribution guidelines. It wasn't a thing to make OSS projects welcoming. Like, it wasn't like that popular to do so. You would just download stuff and use it. Like Lodash, I remember Lodash, one of the most popular libraries ever. I think David or John David or whatever his name is, who ran that project while he was working a side gig at Twitter, right? So Lodash is his side gig that millions of people are using. And everyone had all these expectations of him, but he's like, dude, this is not my job. This is just a package that I made. And so then you kind of feel like there's no community. They eventually became a community, but it just feels very hard to contribute. And then from there, when GraphQL came onto the scene, like there's so many like different projects in different languages, and then a community was forming, and people felt like, oh, we used to do Hacktoberfest and first issues and all that. It's almost like people wanted to leverage the community to push the project forward. A little bit after that, people started doing like contributor appreciation, sending swag. So at Gatsby, like anyone who contributed something got a T-shirt, which got a hell of people to contribute. Like whether it's docs or bug fixes or whatever, you put in your time, you get a hat or a water bottle or whatever. And so when I first got it in, I was just doing documentation PRs, and then you start learning the system a little bit more. Then you say like, oh, okay, let me like clean up the logs. And back then we didn't have we didn't have the cool linters we had today. So it's like, oh, can I add ESLint to this? Back then it was ESLint. Can I add ESLint to this project? Can I help you with the rules? Like some basic stuff, right? Then the maintainer starts trusting your PRs because you're consistently providing value. Whether it's like all the auxiliary stuff that no one wants to do, really. And then eventually you start learning the code, and then you can start contributing to it. So I was like contributing to like React Apollo back in the day, which is like a slow burn to like understanding it, then putting something into the code base. At Gatsby, I contributed a lot I wouldn't say I contributed so much at Gatsby in the beginning because I was working on the Gatsby platform. But then as the platform and framework started like complementing each other, I was like in the open source, making sure that the code would work in the cloud, and then vice versa. And then now in Mastra, dude, it's like all open source stuff that we're doing. I try to get as many maintainers feeling comfortable about joining. We also try to have a good vibe, a good community.
How many maintainers do you have?
A lot, dude. Maybe like 100 or something, like of people who've submitted PRs and stuff.
Wow.
But as a company, we are the sole maintainers.
Yeah.
But we just have so many people contributing, and they're not just contributing docs and stuff. They're like contributing real things, and I think that's the power of AI helping them, the power of our docs, the power of like education. So we're getting high quality PRs from all over the world. It's crazy.
That's amazing. Yeah. No, I'm very happy for you guys. Well deserved.
Yeah, thanks.
What would you recommend to somebody who wants to contribute to Mastra or to any open source project, has never contributed before?
I think the first step is to build something with the tool. So if you're using Mastra, go use it and make opinions, but don't be a dick about it. Just make opinions and then join the community. So we have a big Discord where people are either talking shit in there or, like showing off their projects and stuff, asking for help. And then the community members Mastra members are in the Discord, so you can talk to us and things like that. So that's where I would start. Join the community. Then, like, take those opinions and talk to someone that's working, that is a maintainer or owner of the project. And if they hopefully have the time to give you feedback on your feedback and then make action items for you. That's what we try to do as well. Not everyone has the time, right, to do that. But if you do find smaller projects, you could totally just help. A good thing that people do now is help wanted issues or like a roadmap, which all the things that are easy. Eric Zhang, who does Jax.js, he's trying to make like GPUs happen in the browser.
Okay.
What he did is he just wrote this whole document about all the features that could exist, and he put red for hard, yellow for it's okay, and then green like help wanted, right? And so if people are interested in it, like I just contributed like 7 green things. And I was like, okay, well, there you go.
Yeah.
I moved on to the next project. Right?
Wow.
It's so much easier to contribute now because you have like Opus and, you know, and what we're going to try to do at Mastra is any help wanted issue, it's not going to be an issue. It's going to be a coding prompt. So just copy it and get started, you know?
Yeah. I think that's a very interesting point as well, because I think how do you even then evaluate, let's say so many people can pick up on these items, you get so many more PRs. Obviously there are tools like CodeRabbit to help you review, but at the end of the day you still got to make sure that the quality comes in, that it fits in well, and the sheer volume must be immense.
So I wasn't paid to say this, but if not for CodeRabbit or any other review tool, none of this would be possible at the scale. Because we're getting so many PRs, and many people don't have time to do first review, second review, third review, and then merge is like, holy crap. Like, that's just, honestly, in time, that's like a month or 2, right? Just back and forth. Yeah. Let's use CodeRabbit. We use CodeRabbit, so I'll just be I'm very clear about that everywhere. Without CodeRabbit, dude, we would not be able to do Mastra at a fast pace. When a community contributor opens a PR, CodeRabbit's the first line of defense on everything. And we have it in our contribution guidelines. Like you got to fix all the CodeRabbit stuff before you even talk to me. That's the first boss, and then I'm the final boss.
Do you have like some mean settings in your CodeRabbit YAML that yells at people?
The funny thing is I don't have any CodeRabbit settings. We use default settings, and I hear a lot of people like, oh, the defaults. I'm like, dude, the defaults work great for us.
Yeah. And
it's because we want CodeRabbit to be the annoying guy on our team. Like, we used to, back in the day, we used to always have like that one person on the team who's very like nitpicky, pedantic, like syntactically, like it should look like this. Did you check that? And like we're trying to move so fast that like we don't have time to be that person.
No.
But CodeRabbit has the time to do it. Yeah. So we just have rules like we only start human review until all CodeRabbit comments are done. Even the nitpicks. We do every single thing it says religiously. Wow. And it makes the code better. It takes a little time. But then, you make tooling around fulfilling CodeRabbit's comments and stuff like that. So then when you finally get there, you know that this is structurally good, but is it conceptually good? Oh. And that's helped. We've had to close PRs, though, after someone went through like 100 CodeRabbit comments. And I do feel very bad about that. But it just wasn't, timing. Like you didn't catch it at the right time. Could have stopped it from happening, but whatever.
I guess that's part of being an open source contributor as well. You got to live with that, right?
Yeah.
That happened before CodeRabbit as well.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
But then how do you triage once, like, let's say you have 100 maintainers, you have millions of people using that framework. How do you triage what goes in and what doesn't?
We've been kind of lucky where our community is looking to us to decide what the feature set is. And then if they understand the feature set, then there's some users, like, for example, Mastra has different storage adapters because people like Postgres and libsql or whatever. But I don't know what Amazon DBs are out there or S3 vector storage or whatever. But there are certain community members that love databases and they want to use Mastra with this database or that database. They're the ones, like the feature set was the database. Like we have database adapters. They came in and be like, hey, can I contribute a LanceDB adapter? And I'm like, dude, sure, why not? It's in the realm of what can happen. Then there's some people who do some far out stuff. They're like, hey, this would be cool. And it was, but we say, hey, that's awesome. It's not going to work today, but let's noodle on it. And then it'll come back as a feature set in some reincarnation.
Right.
And then within that, you have another boundary that people start contributing within. So we get a bunch of bug fixes or improvements within the boundaries.
Sounds like a hell of communication work as well, though, right?
Yeah. I think a lot of it is Discord, just maintaining the rhythm. A lot of it's, we do change logs, every change log, blog posts, workshops, you name it. You just have to be in the crowd there.
How big is the team now?
We're about 16.
16, okay.
Yeah.
All based in SF, or?
No, we're completely remote.
Oh.
Yeah, so only me and my co-founders are here in SF.
Yeah.
And then our whole engineering team, we got people in Finland and Belgium, Germany, and Poland. So it's very hard. Sometimes it's hard to do with the time zones.
Yeah.
But Gatsby was all remote as well. So we're kind of used to it by now.
Cool. You're still hiring, or?
No more hiring. We got the team we need. Nice. And I think any other hiring is like maybe for like specialized roles. Mm-hmm. But I think
for now you're good. Yeah,
well, I think if we train everyone to be multi-agent and doing parallel work and using CodeRabbit, like that actually takes that's might have been one person's salary, like all those job functions, you know?
True. I mean, right now, we just saw the rise of Claudebot or now Moldbot. And how many people said like, oh, it's only $600 for one Mac Studio and you just got your own employee. What's your hot take on that, by the way?
I think it's bullshit. So we've been experimenting a lot with like multi-agent loops and trying to not write code anymore and only review. And it's been mixed results.
Yeah.
What we discovered is you can't just go to the bar. You can't just like start a loop and go to the bar, come back after a night out, and everything's magically done. That never happens. It has not happened once. Anyone who says that, maybe it was something that has been built before with a lot of training data, right? Like you could one-shot a freaking Minesweeper game. Yeah. I could go to the bar and do that, sure, right? But I need to go do my feature work or something critical for my business. I'm not going to just write a prompt and then leave, right? What we've noticed in huge feature development, we can do more, right? We can do more in a day, but I'm still sitting at the computer. I'm still sitting, I'm still doing work. My mind is still activated. So until I can go to the beach and then fire prompts, enjoy myself, this is not actually going to be like that.
I mean, I have a strong opinion on that. I don't think it's never going to be like that because there's just no transfer of your brain into that agent. Like there needs to be a copy of yourself in order to fulfill all the things, or you got to write a plan that is so explicit that it has every feature thought out. And most of the time you haven't really done your homework on that either, right? So
I've been trying out, so this week in particular, I've been trying a plan, like a huge planning and PRD type of phase. I found this open source project called Get Shit Done. It's called GSD. And you go through a GSD loop, which is strenuous. Like Claude is asking you 1,000 questions about what you're trying to build. It's doing plans, verification, execution, plan again, verification. And you're just sitting there for hours. Dude. You're just sitting there and you're just like, oh my God, another question. And after doing it, I ran it for 5 days this week, Monday through Friday. It's the same project. It's just been going. And at the end, I'm like, wow, this actually did work. Like it did everything I wanted. And then some, you know? But I realized, it did because I was there the whole time, like talking to it and like being very meticulous about every single thing, which is not how people actually develop, right? Like we kind of develop in all these different spaces and then we try to integrate them, you know, at the end or during. This thing was very methodical. It's like, we're going to do this first, then this, then this. And it's like, sometimes you get bored. It's like, I want to work on that other thing right now. But it was a really good experiment. I like recommend anyone trying it. Just like religiously do whatever it says until it's done. Yeah. And see what happens.
I think this PRD, project requirements definition way of planning is becoming very popular. I've been seeing that a lot. And I wonder if you can really, like, if we can train the LLMs to do exactly like that. If we just become good enough at writing these type of documents. I don't feel it right now yet. I feel like there's always this iterative feedback loop that you need. And even if you take the time and let's say you write everything down, by the way, it's super interesting, get it done, to have that feedback agent to kind of force you to feeling through it. But even then, I think your thought process just develops over time. Correct. And so does the application with you.
Because even when Claude asks you the feedback of the plan, it'll give you like 4 options, like do this, whatever, like it'll say you do, like recommended, then it'll be like some other thing, or you say you decide, where you're like, as a human, I'm saying Claude, just decide. And oftentimes, like I'm in the 4th one where I have to like re-explain like myself. No, dude, you completely did not get the idea. And then it goes through the loops again. I think if you're saying yes to everything, maybe like it's so quick and so fast. But if you're really trying to like think about what you're trying to do and build something that you don't have to revisit again, because I don't like coming back to stuff after I'm done with it, then, you know, you're going to have to be in the loop.
Right. Moving a little bit along, I think we've been like trailing off all the things which is great. I love it. But what are, maybe talking a bit back to Mastra, what are some of the challenges that you guys seeing right now? I mean, it's an incredibly competitive space, and there's just people launching stuff left and right all the time. So what are the challenges, and what does your roadmap look like?
So I think based on the experiences with Gatsby, we operate in a default paranoid. So we're always looking at what other people are doing. And if it's good, then how do we do it too? If it's bad, we try to understand why was that bad, and et cetera. For example, like sandboxes, file systems are like popping off right now. Sandbox is all you need. File systems is all you need. And when that first started, the chatter first started happening there, it's not like we didn't believe it or not, but we were paranoid that if we didn't think about it, then, and it became something and we don't have it, we're screwed, you know, because like people, you're only as good as your last feature, right, in products. So you always have to be on the dot with everything. Like we released but we don't want to do things in haste, right? You got to do things tastefully in the way of your framework. You don't want to bolt things on, otherwise you'll get screwed later. We did a lot of that at Gatsby. So for example, with file systems and sandboxes, we were like, okay, a file system and a sandbox, these are kind of like they're very concepts. A file system can exist by itself. A sandbox could exist by itself, but both of them together are pretty powerful. So we made a primitive called a workspace. So an agent can have a workspace. It can have like a file system that could be an S3 or local or wherever. And you can have a sandbox, which could be like Daytona or ETB or Docker or whatever. You put these things together, and now your agent has both. It can write files, it can execute commands in a way that's natural for a Mastra agent, you know. But to get to that point, we had to like do the research, look at what other people are doing, talk to the homies at Daytona, talk to all the friends, and see like, is this going to be a primitive? And it totally is, right? And obviously Claude Code already made that aware, but there are like coding agents right now, and then there are production or like other agents, and now I think both of the capabilities are blending in. That's a huge challenge, is to always keep up if everything's going so fast.
What do you think you're gonna, you're gonna build next in terms of like, I mean, you said observability was like a thing. There's obviously a lot of companies doing that as well. If you think about, what's the purple one with Arise? That's one that just came to mind. That seems like a whole project in itself already, which is obviously super useful for a lot of tooling. I mean, tracing and, all these things that prompt optimization become so important these days, right? So do you think you have capacity to tap into that, or? Yeah,
because we did observability from the start of Mastra. So we knew it was very important. So we have our own observability. It's built into the framework, but we also export to all the friends, Arise, and that's only LangFuse, of course. I'm just kidding. But we export to all the ones, Datadogs of the world, and that's cool if you have existing systems, and that's great. If you want to use our observability, that's fine too. But I'm not going to convince you to use it today, because it's not about observability. Like, who cares? It's about what happens when you have it.
Yeah.
And so we're building a lot of features around prompt learning, agent learning, reconfigurations of like workflows based on evals and stuff. So it's got a bunch of learning loops is like how I like to explain it. And we're like working on it a lot right now. We work on memory a lot. Memory for us, maybe we don't necessarily think it should be a product per se. It should be built into the framework. It should be native to the framework. So we've been doing a lot of that. And so we'll have a cool release next week about some memory things that we've been working on.
Well, yeah, very much looking forward to that. I think I'm like slowly ready to wrap up here.
Sure.
So what I'm normally do is I like to close with like a little fire round of quick questions.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So you can answer with like one shot or a sentence, and then maybe I'll roast you or ask Tifa if it's more. All right. So what do you think is the most hyped agent primitive at the moment?
The most hyped? Skills. Yeah. Which I guess, I don't know if it's a primitive, but it's very hyped right now because it's supposed to be rapid fire. My bad.
No, that's all good.
MCP versus skills? Like, what the heck, man? Now we have to have this fight all over again? It's bullshit. Like, we were just getting over the MCP thing. Now people are bullshitting about skills. And then everyone's fighting on the timeline.
Yeah.
Can we all just get along?
Right. That's fair. That's fair. Favorite programming language?
TypeScript.
All right. That's fair. When did you write your first line of code?
Stata and R in college, econometrics class.
Okay. All right.
It was not a fond memory, though.
Yeah, R is also, it's quite out there.
Yeah.
Favorite bar in San Francisco?
Ooh, beautiful question, dude. Beautiful question. I have a couple. I'll give you two.
Yeah.
I like Local Tap, which is around here. It's on down the street on Brannan. That's a great one.
Yeah.
I love Victory Hall, which is also around here. Shout out Victory Hall, because, and no offense to Victory Hall, it's because no one goes there.
Yeah.
And I like bars that is kind of empty. But on Wednesdays they have ladies' night. So yeah.
That's fair. Yeah. So if you're single and ready to mingle, that's where
Victory
you go.
Hall.
That's great. Okay, and last question: what's your hot take or your best prediction on 26 for AI coding?
So I think multi-agent workflows are going to be a thing. So if you're using products like Conductor or Superset, or Cursor's going to have this too, where you can just work tree and go. That's going to be a huge thing here. We're going to get to this point where no one writes code anymore at the end of the year. It's all just assisted. And there will still be purists and shit. Those guys. But just kidding. I'm just kidding. But that's just going to be a way of life. It's just going to be, I think things will be task-driven, multi-agents running in parallel, and you not writing any code.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Well, I'm going to invite you back same time this next year.
Yeah, see how it goes.
Exactly, yeah. So, folks, that's it. Thank you for tuning in for this episode. If you haven't already, check out Mastra, check out the book, check out the amazing work that you guys are doing. And see you at the next episode. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Man, it's been great.
Yeah.
Awesome, dude.